Have you ever looked back on a painful chapter of your life and wondered, why did I have to go through that? Why did it happen? What was the point? Maybe it was a heartbreak, a loss, a disappointment, a mistake you wish you could take back, a season where nothing seemed to make sense, a time when you prayed for answers and heard only silence. If you've ever asked those questions, you're not alone. Because at some point, we've all looked at our lives and struggled to understand why God allows certain things to happen, why the door closed, why the relationship ended, why the opportunity disappeared, why the pain lasted longer than we thought it would, why the path became harder instead of easier. But what if the very thing you're struggling to understand today becomes the thing you're most grateful for tomorrow? What if nothing is wasted? Today, I want to remind you of something that has brought me comfort during some of the most difficult seasons of my life. God wastes nothing. Not your pain, not your mistakes, not your failures, not your waiting, not your tears, not even the chapters you wish had never happened. We often think our lives are made up of separate experiences. The good moments, the bad moments, the victories, the setbacks, the blessings, the disappointments. But God sees the entire picture. He sees how every piece fits together. He sees how one season prepares you for the next. He sees how one lesson gives you the wisdom you'll need later. He sees how today's struggle may become tomorrow's testimony. The challenge is that we usually only understand life while looking backward. When we're in the middle of a difficult season, it rarely feels purposeful. It feels painful. It feels confusing. It feels unfair. And sometimes it feels like God has forgotten about us, but He hasn't. Think about all the things you've learned through your hardest seasons, the strength you didn't know you had, the wisdom you couldn't have gained any other way, the compassion you developed because you understand what it's like to hurt, the faith you discovered when there was nothing left to rely on except God. Would you have learned those things without the struggle? Maybe, but probably not in the same way. Some lessons can only be learned in the valley. Some growth can only happen through adversity. Some transformations only happen when life strips away everything we thought we needed and teaches us that God is enough. That's why I believe nothing is wasted, even our mistakes. And that's an important one. Because so many people carry guilt about the past. They replay old decisions, old relationships, old failures, old regrets. They spend years wishing they could go back and change what happened. But here's the beautiful thing about God's grace. He doesn't just forgive our mistakes. He can redeem them. He can use them. He can bring wisdom from them, growth from them, purpose from them. The chapter you wish you could erase may be the chapter that helps someone else find hope one day. The struggle you're embarrassed by may become the story that reminds someone they aren't alone. Nothing is wasted. Not when it's placed in God's hands. And what about the waiting seasons? Those seasons can be some of the hardest. The seasons where you're doing your best, praying, trusting, showing up, trying to move forward. Yet nothing seems to be changing. The breakthrough doesn't come. The answer doesn't arrive. The opportunity doesn't appear. It's easy to think that nothing is happening. But often the greatest work God does is invisible. Roots grow underground before trees rise above the surface. Seeds develop long before they bloom. And faith is often strengthened in the waiting. Not because waiting feels good, but because waiting teaches us trust. Trust that God is working even when we can't see it. Trust that His timing is better than ours. Trust that He is preparing us for things we may not yet understand. The truth is, some of the most meaningful moments in your future are being shaped by experiences you're living through right now. Experiences that may not make sense yet, but one day they will. One day you'll look back and realize that the setback wasn't the end. It was preparation. The delay wasn't punishment, it was protection. The detour wasn't a mistake, it was direction. And the season you thought was breaking you was actually building you. I know that's not always easy to believe, especially when you're hurting, especially when you're grieving, especially when life feels uncertain. But God's faithfulness is not dependent on your ability to understand what He's doing. He is still working. He is still guiding. He is still preparing. And He is still writing your story. So if you're carrying regret today, let it go. If you're questioning the purpose behind a difficult season, trust that God sees what you cannot. If you're in a waiting season, keep the faith. And if you're wondering whether your pain has meaning, remember this: nothing is wasted. Not your tears, not your struggles, not your mistakes, not your waiting, not your story. God can use every chapter for good, even the ones you never would have chosen yourself. Thank you for spending this moment with me. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to Vibe Glow for more inspiration, faith, and encouragement. Until next time, keep growing in grace.